talking about we talk about populism, we talk about nationalism and kind of the value of nationalism. Question for you is, you said at the beginning you're hopeful that this doesn't collapse, but you kind of find your community and be prepared anyways. What do you think, if you were to paint out a realistic picture of how you think this is going to go the next decade in Canada? How does Canada do? And what do you think about the notion of provinces separating, or kind of a balkanization, a fracturing and a rejoining of certain, like a West entity, maybe Maritimes? Like how does that look to you? And what do you think is the best play for us?
History will repeat itself because not enough has been done to stop it from repeating itself. So what will happen is we'll fall into a mini dark age, chaos flux period, I call it. And America will save the world as it always does, because when they try and go through their dark age, it'll only happen in blue states. And people will get to witness the comparison of a life in misery versus a life in prosperity where civilization is open. So once that happens, there will be massive unrest in the blue states. They'll rejoin the red states, and then all these ideologies will fall, and people will get tired of misery. We'll get misery fatigue. We've already been through it. We've already been through a lot, and people should give themselves credit for getting through a lot already. And take the bonuses from it. It's made you a strong person. I couldn't imagine my life before COVID. I felt like before COVID, I was a purposeless, jaded vampire who didn't appreciate much and was a cringy atheist, lacking purpose. And now that good and evil is clearly defined, I find it refreshing. And I find that there's a new, it's easy. It's easy to be motivated to live when you know that evil's real. Once you know evil's real, it's like, fuck. Even if this isn't like heaven and earth shit, it could be a simulation that you only pass if you do the right thing under intense pressure. So I don't want to fail my test. Neither should anyone else. That's why I wish PPC was a layup for everyone and we could stop talking about it. I would be so much more critical of Max if we'd shot that layup and PPC was at 40%. I would be the one going, easy now, guys. Let's be sure. Let's keep in check with Maxi here. But as long as everyone is so overly against him that it makes no sense at all, it forces me into a position of defending him, where people will then invert that because they're motivated to. They want to simplify things and posture confidence by going, oh, it's the PPC cult of Max. Now, I'm sorry. Max is a great guy who's passed all his tests. But it's pretty clear that I'm not obsessed with Max or think like it's his innate charisma that's driving this. I do think he's charismatic. I do think he's perfect for purpose because he's got a very long fuse. He's very patient. He's in for the long game. He's not prone to overreact. A lot of good qualities exist with him, and he does have a moral compass, and he is open to outside knowledge. He was living in a bubble when he worked for the Matrix. When Mark Friesen educated him about the UN, I asked Mark, I'm like, what? How did he feel when you were telling him all this shit? He's like, oh my God, I didn't know. Tell me more. Like, he was hungry to know about it and willing to admit that he was part of this delusion. And if you're not hungry to know, then we know that you're still not with us. Do you know what I mean? If you want us to shut up, if you want us to stop talking, and just kind of accept okay, let's agree to disagree on this. We know you're not with us and you're not willing to understand it. But Max is passing all of his tests. So the bot armies were out for him in 2019 when we were a 1% threat. We are the only thing that is standing in their way and coronating Pierre is if Canada suddenly understands that they're in the slaughterhouse and they're approaching the curtain, and it might happen. If enough people start believing that PPC is possible, we could crack 10%. And if we crack 10%, vote split will go into overdrive, where it'll be a serious argument. And I welcome it. I'm like, yes, it's a vote split. Thank God we're here. Now we can talk to you. Now that we're at this fork in the road, how about we don't choose evil? Yes, if a vote split exists, that's cause for concern. So good news is you're allowed to leave the evil party. Like, that's the best problem ever faced. And so people should be embracing the 10% mark. And then once 10% is broken and the dam breaks, it's a runaway MAGA. MAGA happened overnight. No one knew that there was going to be endless throngs of people filling up stadiums because they were celebrating combining the people and the general in Sun Tzu, realizing they can have a good cause that can finally affect change in their life, right? So that's a magical feeling. It's euphoric and it energizes people. So once we realize that energy is actually there and we get over the massive psyop to just never think it's possible, right? There's all these objections are designed to make you can get on board and nothing in your life changes. What, you spent $35 and bought a 5-year membership, or you spent $20 and you bought a t-shirt. That's all you need to do. We're not asking, but everyone's convinced, like, no, until I'm an expert in how the MLAs are run, I'm not on board with this. That's the fucking psyop. It's really weird. And people that want power, I'm like, just beware of people who want power. I don't want power. I just want to say the truth, move on with my life. If anyone ever pays me, I want it to be for me doing something. For me, like, I offered a service where I'm reporting on people in Ottawa. I'm doing an online web stream show where, sure, if you want to rumble rant me, go ahead. I find TikTok to be the most free enterprise, where I can just show up, make people laugh, and they can give you a coin there and then. There's no like committal to it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, be my Patreon monthly. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to be doing next month. I don't want you to do that.